Video's going, and we're about to start the show. Here we go.
All
in
right.
3, 2, 1. Oh, wrong one. Hold on. Here we go.
I thought you were too good for our intro, Jason.
No. Here it goes. We're good. Hold on. Here we go.
Just drop that ass, bitch. It's open micers in the house. Pop that pussy with that open micers logo in your mouth. Jason with his bald ass head. Jacob looking in bed. It's open micers, bitch. Heard what I said. Drop that ass. Open micers in the house. Drop that ass, pop that pussy. Open micers in the house. Open micers in the house. Open micers is a mouse. Drop that ass, pop that pussy. Open micers in the house. The mic is now open.
That's right. The mic is now open. My name is Jason Robbins.
I'm Jacob Craig. And listen, folks, we're back. It's 2025.
Happy
we're still
2025,
doing the podcast.
guys. Happy 2025.
How we've made it this long, I don't know. It blows our minds every year. But I will say, the way that we start this podcast every year now is by officially dubbing the new guest of the year on the first episode of the year. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to give him a grand intro like I tend to do, okay? I'm going to give him an intro that's going to be so long it will take up the whole podcast. All right? I'm just going to keep talking and not introduce him because I love the sound of my own voice.
Oh, so you're becoming Kevin Smith now is what you're doing.
Well, only in size, not in talent or money. Only in looks and weight. But anyways, last year our guest of the year was Mo Alexander. The vote was unanimous. Far and away. If Mo Alexander was on the ballot again, which he was not, he is in the Open Micers Hall of Fame as the guest of the year for 2023. He would win every single time, which is why we can't let people just win over and over again. So we opened it up. We have to have a new guest of the year.
So what you're saying is TVsTravis here couldn't win against Mo Alexander. Is that what you're trying to say? He could never win.
What I'm saying is
Mo?
I was trying to bury the lead and give the guest a giant, spectacular intro. But yeah, I guess just it was TVsTravis won.
No, you got to do better than that. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. He's here from the Wait You Haven't Seen podcast, and Those Were the Days podcast. And how many other podcasts are you doing these days, Travis?
There's also Gore.
Yeah, there's Gore. Yeah, if you're a horror fan.
Yep. There's once a month I'm on TMS.
Yeah.
And there's at least one more coming soon.
But the winner of this year's 2024, well, it's 2025, but he's the 2024 guest of the year. It's TVsTravis, everybody. He's back. Yes, I'm talking about.
Yes, and what I was getting to earlier in my elaborate introduction, Jason, that you so wonderfully ruined for our listeners here, is that the runner-up of this year is Brandon Haynes, who's a fantastic comedian out of New Orleans. Travis beat out Mark Simmons, who did our theme song and was on the podcast in the first year that we've been doing it, and our fans know and love him. And everyone else that he beat out, they're all fantastic, hilarious comedians. And far and away, it was not even close that our Patreon community wanted TVsTravis to be the guest of the year. How does that make you feel, Travis?
I've got a lot of pressure to live up to now. I'm not a comedian or very funny, so I've got that going for me. But that's
Neither
amazing.
Is Jason, but he's still hosting.
Fair. No, that is humbling. I don't even know what to say. Thank you to you guys and your community. I love coming on. You guys are great. The show is super fun. I love having I've loved having Jay on and on my show. Both of you. have been on my show.
You don't have to be nice to Jacob. It's okay.
Yeah, I love how you worded that at first. I thought it was going to be like a really
Listen,
like I thought you were going to like lean into like being a comedian now.
I can't remember what I've done in the last week. So to remember, like I've done over 300 episodes of Wait You Haven't Seen now. Like I crossed that line just a few weeks back.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. So it's hard for me to remember now who I have and haven't had on, if I'm completely honest.
Well, I
thought you were going to go with the gangster move of being like, I love having Jay on Wait You Haven't Seen, and Jacob has also done it.
If I were better thinking on my feet, if I were a better improv comedian, I'd have done that. So.
Well, I mean, I would have to say, like, I think 90% of it is your voice. And you have that smooth as butter voice, and I think everybody just loves it. And you are the perfect podcaster because you have the best voice on planet Earth.
Well, thank you. I try. It's how I talk. The funny thing is,
I would hire you to tell me stories at night till I go to sleep. And that's, I mean, if I had the money.
If anyone wants to hire me to do some voiceover work, I am more than happy to. No, the funny thing is, I've been accused before of having podcast voice. And I'm like, this is just how I talk. Like, if you see me out in public, this is exactly the cadence and the way that I talk. I just have that. So I don't know. But thank you.
Your voice, I've called it parquet because I can't believe it's not butter. Whack, whack.
That's not bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's my bad joke of the night. Go ahead and get it out of the way.
The one?
Yeah, the one.
Can you guys start a spinoff of this podcast where it's just not funny?
You want not funny? I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Right. See, because at least like Travis is not a comedian, but Jason is. What's your excuse, dude?
Everybody loves a dad joke. That's what.
No, that's true. Travis, do you have children?
I do not.
Yeah, so I'm the only dad here, and I've got to say, like, the older that I get as a father, because my kid's 5 now, so like in dad years, I'm getting up there. You know, I've been a father for half a decade. I'm turning into the dad where like anytime someone's like, "Man, I'm hungry," I'm like, "Hi, hungry." I jump up. They hate it, dude. They hate.
No, it's a real thing. It happens.
I do it every time.
Every single person that I know, every dad that I know reaches that point. You cannot escape dad jokes. Pretty soon you're going to have white New Balance shoes.
I already have them.
Okay.
Here's a
They're
theory.
Nikes, actually. I have white Nikes.
Complete.
I have a theory about the whole dad joke thing. Whenever you become a father and you automatically like get dad jokes in your head, I think those dad jokes are like a steam release valve so that you don't murder your children.
Hey, man.
No, 100%. Because while I do not have any children. I was a part-time dad for a while. I was a stepdad. I got to skip diapers and be around until the kid was in his mid-teens, and then I was no longer there every day. So I got to miss like the late teens. You're not my real dad stuff. But it is true. Like you need some kind of pun relief valve, or you just want to, Homer Simpson and just throttle him.
Yeah.
And Jacob, I don't think Jacob ever got out of the diaper stage since he has to wear diapers from shitting himself all the time.
Hey, dude. Is this how we want to start 2025? Right?
Yeah, it is.
Is this really what we're going to do?
Got to
start the year off. Turtle wax?
Got to start the year off fresh. That's how we're doing it here.
But what I was going to parlay this into, me saying, which first of all, talking about wanting to strangle your own children, I don't know if I have the pun release valve as much as like I love messing with her and making her like purposely have a meltdown. Like, especially if I know she's going to have one anyways, it's funny to me to be like, I'm just going to cause this right now.
My theory is it's like having a puppy where you like ruffle the ears and get the puppy all wound up and then they just go bonkers. Like you do that with your kids.
100%.
For sure. 100. You see it because it's coming. You're like, oh no, the meltdown. We're T minus 30 seconds to meltdown. All right, let's crank it to 11. Because we're going to do this, we're going to do it right.
So by that metric, whenever that happens, does your fiance then have to deal with the said meltdown?
Oh, she has to deal with both of us, dude. She has the most unenviable job. I know. And what's funny is like she just got a raise at work. So like she's bringing in an extra $500 a month when she already made more money than me. And I'm at home just making our kid mad. Like doing this podcast that she hates in our daughter's bedroom while she's texting me like, be quiet.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
Dude. I'm kind of the worst. This is what she has to come home to. But I caught myself the other day. I almost slipped into just like full, like no going back dad move where I was getting my kid out of the car in the parking lot of our apartment complex and like nowhere near me at all. Like I'm not in any danger or anything, but someone just turns the corner going like super fast. And like my gut knee jerk instinct is to yell at them to slow down. Just like, slow down. Kids are playing here.
Oh yeah.
But there's no going back after that.
No, that is the final form of the dad transformation.
Yeah. After that, I have to coach softball.
Yep, or soccer, something. You have to coach a youth sport. Really aggressively coach the youth sport, though.
That's the only way to do it.
You can do it passively.
No. You got to coach the youth sport like with like 5 Zins in my mouth. just getting mouth cancer while I'm teaching girls how to not be scared of a ball.
Yep. You have to see if they have a speed eaters sports thing there at the school.
Hey, do you want to fucking go? Do you want to? Which, by the way, you said you were going to come over to my apartment to give me my Christmas present.
Yeah, and I still haven't done it.
You haven't been here. And do you want to come now, motherfucker? Or do you want to come over here now?
I'm going to show up with your Christmas presents and get punched in the mouth as soon as I open the door.
100%. I'm going to punch you in the mouth. I'm going to hand you your Christmas present. And I'm going to be like, have a fun 20-minute drive back home.
we got to film that because that would be great Patreon content.
That is good Patreon content.
Gold right there.
Travis, back to you, my friend. We had you on our Patreon this year discussing Blazing Saddles, which is a fantastic episode. It's available to the public now. So if you're listening to this and you haven't heard that yet, definitely go back and give it a listen because I think we broke that down in a way that I think we could only have done with Travis because he has really the movie podcasting expertise of like what we need to cover, to really give this film breakdown its what it's worth. What have you been up to since the last time you've been on the pod?
Just continuing to do more and more shows. Like I said, I crossed 300 episodes of Wait You Haven't Seen. We've been doing Those Were the Days. I was that before or after I went to Dragon Con?
So I believe it would have been, I believe it was the summer. So I think June or July.
Okay, so it would have been before. So I went to Dragon Con this year and actually did the show live there, did a couple of panels while I was there. Okay. Met a ton of amazing people. That was a great thing. I'm going back for sure. I'm going to do my show there, and I might do another panel or two because that was quite a bit of fun. I think I was on talking about Blazing Saddles before I had my big trip as well. I went to Scotland this year.
Yeah, I think it was back in March that we had you on.
Okay.
For that episode. Then you went to Ireland, which is what I was completely jealous of when you went on that trip.
Yeah, so it was 2 weeks. It was a week in Scotland in the Highlands with Adrian Paul of Highlander, touring around for a week, going to locations that he filmed at. So there was one episode of the show shot in Scotland. A lot of times they would double. They would use either because the show was shot in Canada and France. It was a dual production, but they did do one episode. He directed it, and they shot in Scotland. So we went to like the locations that he shot at. We did sword training every day. And I spent a few days in Ireland and a few days in London. That was the trip of a lifetime.
So
it was so much
how
fun.
did that come about? I mean, it's not every day that you're just like, I'm going to go sword train with the freaking Highlander. I mean,
so yeah, it's funny. He's been doing this as a business for a couple of years now, where he does sword training events around the country and actually worldwide. And there'll be like these 1 and 2 day sword training events, but a few times a year he does these retreats. And I follow him on YouTube, and he does little like 2, 3, 4 minute travel videos wherever he happens to be at that time. And I happened to catch one in, I want to say it was January, so just about a year ago, maybe just over a year ago. And he said, well, we've got upcoming events. We're going to be here. We're going to be, here, and we're also doing a Highlander retreat in Scotland this summer. And I was like, excuse me, what details are on that? And there was it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, the details came out, and I look, I was going to his website every day, like refresh, what are they? Because stuff like that, it's going to be limited and it's going to sell out fast. And it came up, and I saw it, and I was like, that is kind of a stupid amount of money to spend, but it's also a trip that I can't really pass up. And I was still, at that point, the Let's Watch Highlander podcast was still going. We hadn't finished yet. My friend Audie and I were doing a episode by episode watch through of the Highlander series and everything. So I was like, I'm just going to do this. Why not? And so I booked that, and it worked out perfectly that the final episode of Let's Watch Highlander aired while I was in Scotland. Like it went to the feed then. And I did one more episode after that, which was just a short one. I interviewed Adrian Paul and asked him some stuff about Highlander and all that. And that was how I put a bow on that podcast. Because Audie and I had watched all the Highlander content that was available. And let me tell you, I love Highlander. Okay? I love the lore. I love so much about it. Oh boy, is there some rough shit. There can be only one movie, really, is what should have happened. There's the first movie. There's the series, which I loved the series because it took and it expanded on the lore and it built more stuff out, and they could tell a longer story. All of that. The subsequent movies, of which there are 4 sequels. None of them are good.
Well, since you're the Highlander expert, let's get into this, because recently I have been the past couple of years I've gotten really into collecting VHS, DVDs, things like that. And I ran across at the thrift store, I bought the Renegade edition of Highlander 2. And I had not seen Highlander 2 since it first was available to rent, like back when it came out when I was a kid. So I didn't remember much of the movie. I just remember not liking it as a kid. Now, I've been listening to some podcasts. I listened to your podcast. I heard some other podcasts talking about how batshit crazy Highlander 2 is. But everybody said you watch the Renegade version if you're going to watch it. It's the only one that makes any kind of sense. And I watched it. So I rented it and I watched it. I still don't know what the fuck was going on in that movie. Like, what the fuck?
So, Highlander, I'll give you a quick history on Highlander because it's kind of cool, actually. So, Gregory Wyden is the person who created Highlander. He, it was his like thesis thing at film school. I think it was at USC. He created the character and he wrote the script. A couple of producers, Bill Panzer and William Davis, they find out, Peter Davis. Sorry, Peter Davis, Bill Panzer. They buy the script and decide to make a movie. That first movie, Lightning in a Bottle, but it was one self-contained story. Yeah. It ends the way that a self-contained story would end. Connor wins. He gets the ultimate prize. But it was kind of popular. And so they decided to make a sequel. To say Highlander 2 is bad it's rough, like, because I don't think the director Russell Mulcahy really wanted to do a Highlander sequel, and I think it was more or less some contractual obligation. And he just decided, I'm going to make something weird. And so the original version of it, they're not immortals from Earth anymore. They turned them into aliens from a planet called Zeiss. And they came to Earth thousands of years ago and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense at all. None whatsoever. It takes everything that the first movie did and it's like, just missile drop kick that out the window. We're going to do something even weirder. The Renegade Edition at least gets rid of the whole alien thing. It tries like hell to make it make a little bit more sense, and it doesn't make any sense, but they at least got rid of that part of it. But even weird things like bringing back Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Like literally resurrecting his character, not in just flashbacks, which they could have gotten away with. But they didn't have any, like they only had one movie's worth of lore. So that movie just, there's no way to make it make sense, but the Renegade Edition at least does a little bit. And then right around the time that the series was starting, originally the series was going to be following Connor, and they were going to have Connor McLeod. Mm-hmm. But when Adrian Paul ended up getting cast, he didn't want to play Connor McLeod. He wanted to do something new. So that's where they morphed into Duncan McLeod and made him a kinsman, and they could expand a little bit more. But right as that movie's coming out, they also put out a third Highlander film, Highlander 3, The Apology. I mean, The Sorcerer. The Final Dimension. It really depends on where you are in the world.
Is that the one with, what's his name? I keep thinking Wesley Snipes, not Wesley.
Nope, Mario Van
Peebles, yeah.
Yes.
And that's the one where Mario Van Peebles was, he was an immortal, but
yep.
wasn't he buried like in a cave for like
yes.
a million years or some shit like that?
So he was, it was like 1,000 years. He was in a tomb, basically, buried
that would suck.
Underground. It also had magic involved. There was sorcery, which it's really the only time that's kind of been a thing. There's been some hints at it in the series, but the movie went full bore with it. It's effectively the first movie's plot slightly reworked.
But wasn't there a fourth one with Adrian Paul? Like I remember renting it around 2007 or 2008, and I couldn't tell you what that movie's about.
So there was a fourth one that came out. It actually came out in 1999, and it merged the series and the movie series together. You had Adrian Paul and Christopher Lambert. And it has its issues, but overall, it's a fairly solid action movie trying to meld the two things together. And I kind of like that. Plus, it's got Donnie Yen in it, and that's always a win. Mm. Donnie Yen is an immortal.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, Adrian Paul and Donnie Yen have a fight. Have a straight up, they go, and it's like multi-stage. Like, they fight with weapons, and then they drop the weapons and fight hand-to-hand. And it really shows off both their martial arts skills. It was cool. There's another one with Adrian Paul, though. There's a fifth Highlander film.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
That's probably the one you're thinking of. So as bad as Highlander 2 is, and it's bad, I will watch Highlander 2 again right now rather than ever having to watch Highlander The Source again.
That was it, The Source. That was it.
And my problem with that was they had a script, and they get Adrian Paul signed on to it, and he's even said, and this was one of my favorite of his little videos, because he'll do these, his YouTube videos are either travel logs or he'll just answer questions from people. And one of the whole video, he's talking about, we had a great script. I signed on to it. Peter Wingfield, who'd played Mythos in the series, he'd signed on to do it, all of that. A few months later, they get to starting production, and the script they get isn't the same script anymore. It's been redone. And it lost everything that makes Highlander work. They said it near future, semi-post-apocalyptic, but not. And it, like, the budget shows there's hardly, it was a direct to Sci-Fi Channel release.
Yeah.
It wasn't even direct to video. It was direct to cable. Which is all the previous four movies have all been theatrical. And this one couldn't even get direct to video. They went straight to Sci-Fi Channel.
I mean, as bad as people
I watched it when it debuted.
As bad as people think sci-fi movies are, like now, like Sharknado and stuff, this was back in the mid-2000s.
Mississippi River Sharks.
It was worth. I'd rather watch myself in that horrible Mississippi River Sharks movie over and over again than watch Highlander: The Source ever again.
Here's my biggest problem with Highlander: The Source is it feels like they didn't want to make a Highlander movie, but there's moments in it that I really liked. They do a twist on the "there can be only one" line early in the movie, where there's a character that is about to kill an immortal and says, "There can be only me." I love that. I was like, that's cool. I remember watching and thinking, because that's like within the first 5 minutes. I'm like, all right, it's a little strange, but cool. I like the line where we're going somewhere. And you get Mythos, who's my favorite character in the whole of it. I just love the idea of him. He's the 5,000-year-old man. He's the oldest immortal, and he's just always got a story for things. You know, he looks like he's 30, but he's 5,000 years old. It's awesome. He's in it. He's great. He has a wonderful line taking down this immortal that's also a cardinal in the Catholic Church. But there's so much of it that's just so damn bad. Yeah. It's just and they even tried to give a reason for why there can be only one and what the prize was, and that was even dumber.
So what I want to know is, did they ever go into the lore? Since you're the Highlander lore guy, you're the guy I need to ask these questions for, because I'm a Highlander fan. I love Highlander stuff, but the movies are just way out there. So how did they know? Like, is immortality just a genetic defect? And if it is, how did they figure out that they could be only one? Like, how did they know about the prize?
So there's never really a clear-cut explanation for that. It's very wishy-washy. No one knows exactly, which I kind of like. I like the mystery of that. Because there's the whole thing of there can be only one, and the idea originally was that the time of the gathering, the last few of them that were around would know, because they can kind of feel each other and feel their presence, and they would sort of know and be drawn to a place. And that was the whole point of the first movie, was there's only like a handful of them left. But then the series just kind of, tossed that out the window. It was like, well, now there's new ones coming along all the time.
And if they are, thousands of years old, Highlander and immortals, why would they be compelled to gather in New York City? Why not some like holy place like Jerusalem or something that's been around for like thousands of years?
Again, they never really give an explanation for that, although holy ground is a place where they don't fight.
Yeah, true.
And
there's plenty of that in New York City, is unholy ground.
One thing I do like, though, is that idea of holy ground wasn't just like Judeo-Christian holy ground, although initially that was kind of what you would see, but they did work that into things like Native American holy ground would be the same thing. You can't fight on that. And I liked how it was like non-denominational. It's just like, no, if a place is considered sacred, they don't fight there. And they never give a reason why they don't fight on holy ground, but they gave us, in one episode of the series, they gave us from the Watchers, which is my second favorite thing that the series gave us behind Mythos, was the Watchers organization. So much so that I have a Watchers tattoo. But one of the Watchers tells Duncan, look, holy ground, you guys don't fight on holy ground. You know what happened the last time two immortals fought on holy ground? And he's like, no, what? He goes, well, it was in Pompeii around 79 AD.
Wow.
And I was like, that's awesome. That's just a cool, like, we're just going to drop that on you and leave it. Like, and I love stuff like that because I don't need an explanation. That's enough for me to be like, cool.
Yeah.
Like, I just love that kind of world building.
It makes your imagination kind of go wild. So, what about you, Jacob?
Like, wow.
Do you know much about Highlander? Have you ever seen Highlander? You're a youngin'.
I've only seen the first Highlander, and I only saw it as a kid because my parents were watching it, and I wouldn't leave the room, I think. That's really it. I really haven't given the world much of a look.
If you watch anything ever, watch the first movie. Don't worry about the rest of them because they're really just there's nothing worthwhile unless you are a completionist to go through. There's that movie, the animated So there was an animated series. Don't watch that. That's completely batshit crazy. Like that takes place like thousands of years in the future, and it was a Saturday morning cartoon. It makes no sense. It was the 90s. It was the late 80s, early 90s, and anything could be made into a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Rambo.
RoboCop, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of RoboCop, I don't mean to railroad this conversation.
Oh yeah, I know where this is going.
Dude, have you guys played, I know Jason has it. Travis, have you played the new RoboCop game?
There's a new RoboCop game?
Mm-hmm.
There's a game out for PlayStation 5. It's called RoboCop Rogue City. It takes place in between RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3. And it's better. It like has a better story than like anything before, like anything after RoboCop 2. It is fucking impeccable.
It's not like it's a high bar to clear, though.
Yeah.
Look,
I've seen
you understand what I'm saying.
2 and 3.
You understand what I'm saying. It's so like I love shit like this now. Like what we're doing with you mentioned anything can be a Saturday morning cartoon. Anything can be a video game. Like we're getting RoboCop and Indiana Jones. Why not make like a Highlander video game that goes in between some of the movies?
Yeah. If this reboot movie that they're going to start working on here shortly happens and is decent, we might see that. Because there is a reboot there's been a Highlander movie in talks for the better part of, let's see, the source came out in 2006. So since about 2006, 2007, they've been talking about it. At one point, Gerard Butler was going to be cast. But right now, Henry Cavill is cast. He is cast as Connor, and it is being helmed by Chad Stahelski, the director of the John Wick series.
Ooh, take my money right now.
Which is why and both of them have said that they love the series, they love the lore, and Cavill said he's been doing a bunch of sword training for it. They're supposed to start shooting soon. It was like early 2025. So if that does well, we might get a video game based on it, because it is a cool property that you could easily make into an interesting game, whether it be kind of a, an adventure game or some sort of a, you could even do kind of an action RPG based in that world where you have to build. Because one of the things, and I'm curious how they're going to kind of update Highlander, because one of the things about that first movie is it is very much an 80s film. Not only 80s film in the air quotes of like what that means, but just it's a time capsule, because these immortals live through the years. Like Connor in the movie, he keeps his identity a secret by finding a stillborn baby and assuming that identity and then running with that identity for, 15, 20 years or whatever, however long, until he should probably be aging past where he is. And then he'll go through that cycle again where he will research and find a stillborn child and then give all of his stuff to that child and then assume that identity and keep going. But that's very much an 80s thing. I'm curious how they're going to update the whole idea of immortals for our current day and surveillance and, digital records and all the biometric stuff going on. Like that, that kind of stuff is really interesting to me.
Yeah, probably not dead babies. That's probably not gonna. That's probably not gonna be the one,
dude. If I was to make a Highlander movie, I would make the Highlander, or at least have an immortal, Danny DeVito.
That'd be a good one.
Okay, Jason, thank you for that contribution.
I'm serious. I'm absolutely serious. Imagine Danny DeVito as an immortal in this world of people constantly trying to kill him and take his head, take his memories. But he just kind of stumbles into like constantly winning these duels.
They did do a little bit of that in the series.
Because wasn't there a kid or something?
There was
like
a kid
that?
At one point, which was great. He was actually in 2 episodes, and that was fun because like he had to, obviously he wasn't strong enough to fight people, so he had to use cunning. And then you find out he's like 800 years old and he's been doing this forever because he would trick people into, I don't know what's going on, and then take their heads. There was another one too that had a character played by Pruitt Taylor Vince, who's an actor I love, but he played an immortal that is mentally disabled, like autistic, I think. And it was all about trains, but he had survived for a while by kind of doing what you're talking about. He sort of would stumble through, or he'd get lucky, or he'd have somebody taking care of him, and he would not get hunted in the same way. Mm-hmm. So they kind of did go in that direction a little bit at times. But yeah, I could see, like, I think Danny DeVito would be fun. I mean, that's the thing about Highlanders. There's so many ways you can go with that. You can get really quirky and funny with it. You can get super serious with it. It's just kind of an interesting world.
See, if I was to play a video game, I would want to do like a roguelike sort of MMORPG where you create a character and you go around, you take you go in this, big online world, hunt down other people in the game and duel them. Whoever wins gets that person's power, and whoever loses has to basically restart or re-roll another character because that character's dead.
It'd get rough after a while.
Yeah, dude, that would freaking suck.
Yeah, imagine if you're like
never play that game
down to the last two, and then it's like one of you is gonna lose.
That's how you do it. Is you make the game, and the servers have a shelf life. They're only going to be active for a certain amount of time, and that amount of time, eventually, like if you die enough times, you just can't make a new character until there's only 2 left. Mm-hmm. That's how you do it. That'd be fun. No, I would probably hate that style of game. Travis, because playing online with other people will do that.
Have you ever done Highlander, the first movie you haven't seen?
I have.
Oh, okay. I was going to say it'd be a perfect movie for Jacob to be on for, because
it would be.
To be fair, I haven't seen a lot of movies. So.
Yeah, I think we can work something out.
But I think you really should. You really should watch the first Highlander movie and get what an awesome, like, just one-off, perfect, like, sci-fi movie that it is, and then watch part 2. Any version. Just watch any version of part 2, and you're going to be like, what the hell am I watching?
What you're going to do is you're going to watch the first movie, and it is such a cool looking movie. Even by today's standards, Russell Mulcahy was innovative in his directing style, and he's got that music video MTV thing going on, but there's a lot of like cool angles, and just visually it's very interesting. The soundtrack is fucking killer, right? Because it's basically Queen's album, A Kind of Magic, and it's awesome. But you watch that, and then when you watch Highlander 2, what you ask yourself is, you do just a small math problem. The math problem is, how much cocaine over what period of time went up someone's nose before this happened?
And how much money did they have to pay Sean Connery to come back and reprise that role when he didn't want to?
No, probably not. I mean,
Sean Connery was probably doing coke with the writing staff.
Tell you what, that dude got paid for that first movie. He got a sizable chunk of the budget to be in that first movie, and he's not in it for that long.
Yeah.
And the voiceover that he does at the beginning, because the very beginning of the movie is him giving, from the dawn of time, blah, blah, blah. He recorded that in his bathroom.
Yeah.
Nice,
and here's the thing.
And they kept it because the echo sounded cool.
He's supposed to be like Egyptian, but he's got like a Scottish accent.
When I talk to somebody about the first Highlander, this is how I pitch the first Highlander to them. Okay, this is great. So Highlander is the story of a Scottish warrior who's played by an American-born Frenchman, and his mentor, a Egyptian with a Spanish name, played by a Scotsman.
It makes no sense.
And they can't die unless their head is chopped from their shoulders. Mm-hmm. And they fight, the dude from Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah,
Captain Hadley.
Let me tell you, one of the best villains in film history.
Clancy Brown is amazing, and his turn as the Kurgan is so good.
Good.
What bums me out is I hear he loved being in the movie. and he had a lot of fun on it. I've seen interviews with him talking about that, but he apparently did not get paid well and kind of didn't have much because he was fairly early in his career still.
Might have been his first movie, actually.
He's got some. I've seen some interviews with him where there's some sour grapes towards like the producers of it, which is a bummer. But he's so good. And there was what is the TV show, The Goldbergs?
Yeah.
I want to say, and like a year or two ago, there was a clip floating around where his character in the Goldbergs brings up Highlander gets brought up.
Yeah, I saw that episode.
That clip was sent to me, independent of other people, by at least a half a dozen friends of mine. Like within a day, I got it sent to me by so many people.
That's awesome.
And it was amazing. I'm like, well, I guess I have a reputation now.
Yeah.
So
Hey, it's not bad. It's not bad to be known as the Highlander guy. You know,
No,
there's
I'm
worse
fine with
things to be known for.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, dude, you could be known for being Jason Robbins.
Yeah, exactly. Who would want to be me?
How bad would that suck,
But,
dude? If we
but
had to be you.
I know we got to get you out of here soon, Travis, because I know you got 18 other podcasts to do tonight. So we'll start wrapping this thing up. But congratulations, man, for being the guest of the year. Now we got to get you your chicken, your rotisserie.
Yeah, we got to
chicken.
send you your rotisserie chicken, dude, as your
Rotisserie chicken.
trophy.
Yes.
And you
Love
got something
rotisserie
coming
chicken.
in the mail too. It should be here. I was hoping it would be there today so you could show it on the video, but I guess it didn't come today. It'll probably be there tomorrow.
No, but I'll be looking for it, and I will take a picture with it when it gets here.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to, I know we had talked eventually, whenever you're done watching all the Fast and Furious movies, I want to be on that wait you haven't seen, because I have things to say about those movies.
Yes, so that is going to be a thing. That's actually the next project getting started. Is weeding and wading my way through those films.
Those movies are so stupid, but they're so much better than they have any right to be. It's astounding.
I have a whole bunch of notes about the first movie sitting right in front of me right now, and it's still, as of recording this, is the only one I've seen in the series. Is the first movie.
Well, let me tell you something awesome. Here's what I've learned about the Fast and Furious movies. I own all of them on DVD and Blu-ray.
Okay.
I've seen all of them multiple times. And here's the
Wait,
thing.
wh-
No,
hold on.
here, listen. When you're watching them, they're the most awesome movie you could be watching at that moment. You're following everything. You're in love with the characters. You're like, this is the best movie ever. And then when you're done with the movie, it's almost like Will Smith shows up with the little brain thing from Men in Black, wipes your memory, so the next time you watch the movie, it's like watching a new movie all over again. It's like you've never seen it before, and it's still just as awesome the second time you saw it.
So it's like those the silence from Doctor Who.
Yeah, exactly.
You know they're there, but as soon as you look away,
Yeah.
complete memory loss about them ever existing.
It blows my mind that you even like the Fast and the Furious movies.
Dude,
Who are you?
I was the guy that used to make fun of those movies because I would refuse to watch them. I never wanted to watch them, and then I went to a friend of mine who he was in a city that I went to a film festival for Monsters Anonymous, and while I was staying with him, he was like, it was when I think when Part 6 came out or 7. It was in 2017, I think, somewhere around there. So whichever one was out at that time. And he made me watch it with him on DVD. And I fell in love with it and went back and watched all of them. And I have them all on DVD and Blu-ray. And I can't help it. I'm unapologetically a fan of those stupid-ass movies.
My thing was, like, I didn't see them for a long time for no other reason than I saw the first movie in, I want to say it was 0102. So shortly after it came out, and I was like, it's fine. And then when the sequel came out, Too Fast, Too Furious, it didn't have Vin Diesel in it. And I was like, well, why would I want to see that then?
Yeah.
And I just sort of never got back into it. And then it kind of became a thing like, well, I haven't watched any of them. I don't really care. And up until streaming services really became a thing, it was wasn't like I could just easily watch them without going to a video store or something, because I wasn't going to buy them. So, but I do feel like it's going to be something fun to check out and see, because I know they change a lot. But that first movie, stuff I really enjoy about that. What I noticed watching it this time is there's little things. There's like character things that feel, because the movie itself is just dumb as shit. I mean, the first race in it is a 10-second quarter mile that takes 2.5 minutes of driving at 150 miles an hour. A Bugatti Veyron can't get to 150 in a quarter mile.
Dude, by the time you get to like the ninth one, they're in space in a car that's like duct taped together. Like, they're basically superheroes. They're superhero movies where they don't have actual superpowers. They use cars. That is their superpowers.
No, that's what I've heard. And so I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how this kind of evolves.
Dude, I can't. You
street
have to
racing
let me know.
to whatever the hell, because I've seen trailers and that's it for all the rest of the movies.
They went from street racers to government. Like, governments depend on them to keep the world safe. Like, that's how it has evolved.
I can't wait. When I get done with the series, when I get done watching them all, I will definitely have a chat with you about them.
Please watch them, Jacob. Jacob, I'm telling you, you're going to thank me, because my friend it reminds me of you, Travis. He reminds me a lot of you, loves movies, very critical, like watches movies with a critical eye, but loves movies, and and that's the thing, right?
Them. Like, I can be critical of movies and I can look at things from the critical eye, but I also sometimes just want stupid fun. Like,
that's all they are.
I want a dumb shit movie that's just going to entertain me for an hour and a half.
They are.
Hour and 45 minutes. And
that's all they
sometimes
are.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
I don't need every movie to be Schindler's List or Monster or, these great stories and these compelling narratives. Those are wonderful. But I also sometimes need Nick Cage fighting aliens in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. The Fast and Furious movies are just dumb shit, ridiculous movies that know they're dumb shit, ridiculous movies, and that's all they ever want to be, and that's all they ever need to be.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. So I'm excited.
But yeah,
it'll be great.
I'm there. As soon as you're ready, boom, you let me know. I'm there.
All right.
So
take a shot every time Vin Diesel says family.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm doing is I'm keeping a count of how many times the word family is used.
Oh God, please do. That is a great web page to put up, or at least a good factoid to keep how many times he says family.
Yeah. And what's funny is the first movie, Vin Diesel never says the word family. It's spoken. The only time it's spoken is by Buffalo Bill, Ted Levine.
Okay, that's a Mandela effect right there.
Right? Because I definitely thought that too, and it's like an hour in, and Ted Levine says it, and then so I'm really excited to keep going with this, though. I love dumb shit.
I love them.
Me too. That's why I love Jason Robbins so much, dude.
I am a walking Fast and Furious movie. That's what I am.
I mean, the last time we talked, Jay, it was Roadhouse. It doesn't get much dumber than Road. It's a movie about bouncers.
Hey, Jason, you're not Fast and Furious. You're slow and angry.
Yeah, that's my movie right there. Slow and angry. I love it.
Slow and slightly annoyed.
Yeah. Well, Travis, man, it was great having you back on the show. Thank you so much for being here, and congratulations again for being the guest of the year.
Well, thank you for having me and for honoring me with guest of the year. I can't wait to get my rotisserie chicken.
Well, tell everybody where they can find all your stuff at.
Easiest place is to go to my website, TVsTravis.com. It's got links to all the shows that I do. It's got links to all of my social medias. But if you don't want to go through there and you just want to find me on something like Blue Sky, is probably where I'm most active. But I'm on all of the platforms. It's TVsTravis everywhere. TVsTravis.com. It's got merch, Patreon, all that's there.
Awesome. Jacob, what you got on this first episode of 2025? You got anything you want to tell the good folks out there?
Man, just that, you guys need to come to Mobile, Alabama, February 1st, where me and Jason will be opening for last year's guest of the year, Mo Alexander, once again in Mobile. Come check us out, man. Tickets available now. We're going to be at Oyster City Brewing. And there's another show happening in February 1st on the same night that we might swing by. We need to hammer out the details of that. But anyways, buy tickets to see us open for Mo Alexander February 1st at Oyster City Brewing in Mobile, Alabama.
Fantastic. And go check out my other podcast, the Nerd Cave Retro podcast that I do with Mr. Derek Diamond every Monday night. So go check it out, nerdcaveretro.com. And that's going to be it, fellas. Let's go ahead and walk out the door. If you want to email us at openmicerspodcast@gmail.com. We're at openmicers.com and, of course, our Linktree, linktree.com/openmicerspodcast. Takes you everywhere you need to go, all the socials, ways to give us money, all that good stuff. And, of course, go to brezcoffeecode.com and use the code OMPodcast to check out for 10% off your order. Happy New Year, everybody, and we will see you all next week.
Family.
And thank you all for watching on YouTube. We'll see you all next week.